The Africa Regional Tobacco Industry Interference Index Report 2020-2021 has showed low levels of tobacco industry interference in policy development in countries of Uganda and Kenya, whereas Ethiopia and Tanzania experienced the most industry interference. The tobacco industry also stepped up corporate social responsibility activities during the COVID-19 pandemic. The industry exploited opportunities provided by the pandemic to engage with government bodies and capitalized on the vulnerability of several African governments facing a shortage of resources during the pandemic. The devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic has underscored the fundamental importance of health and tobacco control. Most visible activities have involved so-called corporate social responsibility, largely in the form of donations of equipment or cash in several countries in the African region. The industry has keenly exploited the opportunities provided by the pandemic to engage with government bodies and contribute to relief efforts. In Uganda, during the national address by the President of Uganda on COVID-19, he acknowledged Meridian and Leaf Tobacco and Merchandise Limited, amongst other companies that contributed to the fight against COVID-19. In Kenya, British American Tobacco donated Kenyan shillings 10.6 million to the COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund. In Tanzania, the government received medical equipment worth Tanzanian shillings 38 million from 9 institutions, including the Tanzanian Cigarette Company, and in Ethiopia, the National Tobacco Enterprise donated sanitizers and personal protective equipment to residents of Addis Ababa for the prevention and control of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Falls, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Nigeria. We know that the tobacco industry exploited the pandemic and handed out CSR activities and made donations during the pandemic. And government
on protection of governments from tobacco industry interference, countries such as Gabon, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Uganda have made progress in drawing up measures to guide officials in their interactions with the tobacco industry. The report recommended that the tobacco industry should be excluded and not be recognized as a stakeholder at any level or stage of health measures, including the COVID-19 pandemic and social policy development. The report recommended that the tobacco industry should be excluded and not be recognized as a stakeholder at any level or stage of health measures, including the COVID-19 pandemic and social policy development. Clear communication and disclosure should be made to clarify the motivations of funding of research institutions, academics, and scientific studies to prevent unseen biases in science on which policy may be based. This should also be applied to non-government organizations, businesses and trade associations, consumer groups, think tanks, professional associations, and others seeking involvement or input in tobacco control policies. The protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products should be ratified. Countries in the region that have not ratified the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products should do so as soon as possible to protect their tobacco control efforts from interference by the tobacco industry. This report was filed by Julius Muhumuza for Dream TV News.